Dr. Greer, since 2017, there's been a lot of mainstream media coverage about the UAPs. Can you lead us into that and what they're exactly trying to say and how come they're kind of trying to really put it off to the general public?
Well, what's actually happening is that when Unacknowledged, our film, reached over 650 million people who'd seen it, there was a counterintelligence operation that released the Tic Tac footage. Now that footage, they authorized a controlled leak. It was not a leak. It was deliberate. That's a trial balloon. It's what you do in Washington. And that, of course, they were ordered to cover on the mainstream media. Remember what Attorney Daniel Sheehan said, that the only time you get coverage on something like this is when it's authorized by the CIA and people in the intelligence community in the mainstream media, not the fringe media. So once that went mainstream, we knew that they had pulled the trigger on the false flag disclosure. So the result of it was, of course, mainstream media all over the world covering this. Now, everyone I know and the people on my team who work for the Lockheed Skunk Works and are in the aerospace industry immediately knew that those Tic Tac objects were ours, made by Lockheed Skunk Works, classified anti-gravity. Now, the dog and pony show in the mainstream media is to say, gee, we don't know what these are, that we're going to call them something new, UAPs, and have this studied agnosticism, as I call it. Well, we don't know. In fact, they do know. And so people with the Two Stars Academy, it was headed up by a band member named Tom DeLonge, but he got pulled in by members of the intelligence community and was fed all this disinformation. He was convinced the aliens were a threat. He was told that he needed to do this, and basically he was set up. And the result of it is that they were doing this to strike back across the narrative we were putting out by doing the expose of unacknowledged special access projects in the documentary Unacknowledged. So that's actually how that rolled out and why. Since then, of course, the silver lining is the subject has become okay to talk about because it's in the mainstream media all the time now, and instead of it always just being poo-pooed and debunked. The problem with it is every single story about it has a bit of information, which say the Tic Tac or recently the triangles over our naval destroyers that Senator Reid recently said were Russian because we had said they were man-made, so he pivoted to saying Russian. And they're actually from our classified unacknowledged special access projects from the high desert out in California and at other aerospace contractors. So the public is being deceived, and the Congress is, as have been presidents. So what's very important for people to understand is that if it's in the mainstream media, be very skeptical about the narrative and what they're actually putting out, because mostly what they're putting out are known craft that we have. Now, sitting and looking at this is, on one hand, it's gratifying to see it's being talked about seriously. On the other hand, it's very dangerous because what they're doing is putting out false information and misdirects, and attaching to each story, if you look at it carefully, it's a bit subliminal, that it's a national security threat. They'll use words like swarming our Navy destroyers. They'll use words like incursions into our nuclear facilities. It's all fear-based, warmongering terms. So now we're living through that false disclosure that the public thinks, oh, they're finally disclosing this. No, they're disclosing it in a way that suits their agenda to get more money.
And with the media, just for the viewers, how are they being told or who's telling them what to put out? It seems like when you look at the media, they're all coming with the same story.
Well, that is coordinated. Now, as you know, when Daniel Sheehan did the Pentagon Papers, and he did also many other cases, Iran-Contra, some of the most important national security cases of the last 50 years. And he saw a document in Project Mockingbird and some others that listed back in the 70s, 42 people who were on the payroll of the CIA who were dual agents working inside the media. So one of the problems is the general public thinks we have a free press. Well, to a point. But on something this important, that top secret memos I have, state is the most sensitive issue in the history of the United States, exceeding the development of the hydrogen bomb. You're going to have all manner of corruption of what we're supposed to have a free press. And as I told you, Bob Schwartz, who was on the board of Time Life, told me flat out in the 90s, the media becomes scribes taking dictation at the right hand of the king, which are these powerful interests who want to maintain a certain narrative. So this is where one of the problems is that how do you get this information out if the mainstream media has been corrupted and is being directed in a certain area? Only cover things that are half-truths, that's what the media's doing, and always put this spin on it that it's a threat to our national security. Where does that lead? Right to what Wernher von Braun, who invented the rocket, said, that they will play this last card, and that last card will be an alien threat to unite the world around a militaristic global of response in space. And we're right at that inflection point. I mean, this is a really big thing that's happening right now.